All right. So one of the biggest indicators of something might be an opportunity or threat is that something is new. Now, I included a visual example here. You haven't seen me wearing this weird Mongolian hat before, but it's new, it's different. You might be asking yourself, what is going on here? Anything that is new or changes in your environment immediately draws your attention because it might be an opportunity, it might be a threat. I'm gonna take this off because it's incredibly warm. So let's imagine for a second, you're on the savannah, early humans, right? You're out there in the wilderness and you're looking out over the savannah and you see a blade of grass move differently than everything else. You're going to immediately pay attention to it because there could be two things or three things behind that blade of grass. There could be an antelope. Well, that's wonderful, something to eat. There could be a lion, which could be trying to eat me, or there could be another human to mate with or work together with, right? Wow, look at that. Something new is going to grab your attention. We're hardwired to look for new things. And the interesting thing is, after a while, your environment starts to just kind of fade away into existence. Like right now, if you kind of pause the video and think, you're looking forward, like you're facing a certain direction. You're not really paying attention to the little details, right? Like there's a window over there, and I'm not paying attention to what's outside of that. It's been the same for a very, very long period of time. Nothing has changed out there. If all of a sudden something swooped by the window, I would pay attention because there's something new. Eventually, things sort of fade to irrelevance, and we don't really pay attention to them. This is extremely important in copywriting. If someone is on, let's say, for example, a social media feed, and they're scrolling through and all the images kind of look the same, if you show up and you look exactly the same as the rest of the feed, they're not really going to pay attention. They're just going to continue to scroll. But if you show up with something like with a Mongolian hat, for example, or a bright red image, something that's drastically different from a color or like a drastically visually different example, they're going to pay attention to it. If the words that you're using are different, if they're formatted different, that difference from the rest is something that your brain automatically hones in on because they say, something's different here. Maybe there's an opportunity, maybe there's a threat. So it's really important to show up and be different than everything else. Another element that's related to this is the idea of movement. Anytime the human brain sees movement, we latch onto it, right? Again, think of the savannah. We were designed to track lions, antelopes, and other human beings. Human beings, we are designed we focus on movement. If there's an avalanche coming down at you, your brain hyper recognizes it because of the movement, not because there's snow on the side of the mountain, but because it's rushing at you. Change and visual movement is extremely powerful, helping you grab attention. Now, I've talked about things here that are very related to images and videos, which might sound like it's outside of copywriting, which we focus on words, but it's an element that you can use to grab attention. Now, these are things you're going to use on that very first phase when you grab attention, at the beginning of your emails, sales pages, Facebook ads, et cetera, et cetera. But it's also stuff you need to drip every so often into your content so that they reinvest their attention. If you kind of get into a boring, monotonous flow, they're going to eventually leave because it's going to start to get boring. But if every so often you mix things up, you interrupt the pattern with something new, a new image or a new text, or you insert a new opportunity or threat, it's going to keep them engaged because that newness factor is going to be there. So when you're sitting down to control attention, you need to understand the importance of being new and the like different visually and actually different from everything else. Like not just on a visual level, but on like a content level, you need to be different. That's how you're going to get more attention. And you also need to look at dynamic, things that move, things that change. Static things don't grab as much attention as dynamic things. So those are some things to think about. I'm going to include some examples of really, really good visual disruptive elements that have been proven extremely effective at grabbing attention. But you need to understand this. New things, things that are different, things that change, and things that are dynamic are indicators that there's an opportunity and a threat, and that's what humans pay attention to.